Alright, what is going on YouTube? Another series from the round of 32 of Hidden Cup 4 qualifiers. BadBoy versus Sitaux this time. One of the most improved Vietnamese players against the best player potentially from France. Sitaux will be banning Lithuanians as BadBoy will be banning Aztecs. The snipes on each side were Franks and Italians respectively. BadBoy will be playing with Mayans, Huns, Berbers, Japanese, Malay, and Malians, whereas Sitaux will have Tatars, Chinese, Mongols, Khmer, Vikings, and Celts. The map drafts are as follows. Ban from BadBoy will be Islands, and the Sitaux will ban Hideout. Bay and Cross will be the home maps for Sitaux, and Gold Rush and Spores. I mean, Slopes, I assume, was the idea here, but yeah, Slopes from BadBoy. So BadBoy is more of a team game player himself. However, he has improved quite considerably overall as a player. So we can actually get going in the game number one. But as I said, I feel like BadBoy is still more of a team game player type of person, but he has improved considerably. I mentioned that he actually loved Tatars when they were having their full civilization bonus, as Sitaux is going to be playing, blue Chinese on the right side. Left side is a much more interesting civilization selection here from BadBoy. A really old school Huns pick for Arabia, which is absolutely not a bad civilization. The versatility is amazing in Huns, although, as I said, it's a little unconventional. I don't remember if Cross is actually in the map pool or not, but if it is, I feel like Huns could have been a little bit better choice for a map like Cross, for example. Anyways, looking at the BadBoy's map, he's got 4 on wood, which means that we're not going to see scouts over here. This is probably going to be a fast men-at-arms play, or maybe straight archers from our Hunnic player. The Goldman is quite exposed, so it's not ideal for this build, and the right side is also quite open for BadBoy, which is far from ideal as well. Whereas on the other side, we will have a free on wood for Sitaux. That's going to be a scouts play with what is a very, very good base overall for Sitaux. There is going to be indeed militias on the way, so it's a men-at-arms opening from BadBoy, but by the time those men-at-arms arrives, I think the walls will be up for Sitaux. He has a gold at the back, stone at the back. The berries aren't perfect, but other than that, it's actually a very, very good situation. And as I said, by the time the men-at-arms arrive, they will be unable to get in here as the walls will be up. So Sitaux is going to be able to hold off this aggression over here. I think that Barracks is going to be a little late, but it's going to be borderline. It might be a couple of seconds late. I wonder if there's a hole here or not. I don't think there is, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was, actually. You also have to be careful about this overchop if you're Sitaux, as the militias are coming in. So the militia raised the question if this is a men-at-arms into archers or potentially drush archers, and I just have to look up at the Voyager indicator, and it's clear that it was men-at-arms. So this is in fact a 21 pop men-at-arms. So I see the idea for BadBoy. This is somewhat unconventional, but I like it. So with the deer push, you can actually pull off a 21 pop man-at-arms build. The timing of that is very, very similar to a scouts build, so your opponent might be expecting scouts, but in reality, it's going to be men-at-arms. You already have a couple of them on the field, and men-at-arms opening is always nice against scouts if you can void your base. And you see that Sitaux is now adding an archer range. He started it free on wood, and that, for me, means that he wanted to play scouts, but I think that he's seeing the men-at-arms. And even though he was most likely prepared for the Scout Wars, he got surprised by this one, and he's gonna have to transition to an Archer play. There's going to be straight Archers from him. Archers will already be coming out by BadBoy over here, and Sitaux is scouting the near vicinity of his base. He knows about his opponent's base location, but doesn't really have any other information. It seems like he just wants to make sure that he scouts all the neutral resources close to his base at this very moment. Whereas for BadBoy, he apparently lost his scout. I think he lost that scout within the base of the opponent. He has a very, very good vision on his opponent's base. If you take a look at this, he sees the primary gold, primary stone, secondary gold over here. What he's missing out on is the secondary stone and gold over here in the north. Anyways, walls will be up for Sitaux to prevent an overchop, as these Voyagers are having a weird dance, but they actually finished by the time I looked there. Both players will be having double bit axe and horse color. Horse color is actually a pretty nice achievement here for a BadBoy who was playing with a men-at-arms archers build, and oftentimes you can't really squeeze in horse color into that build, especially with a civilization that doesn't really have any amazing eco bonus at the beginning of the game. Huns do have a bit of an eco bonus, considering that they don't have to build houses, so they save a bit of a wood, but oftentimes that still doesn't mean that they can squeeze in the horse color to a Man-at-Arms build. Still, one archer get picked off. That was a nice find from Sitaux. Something that you often see, archers being sent one by one, will result in potential kills from the scout. In the meanwhile, Man-at-Arms is still trying to bash their way through the walls, as Sitaux is still just waiting for the archers to pile up. Once he has enough, he's gonna be able to start picking off these Men-at-Arms. There is no blacksmith. Actually, there's a blacksmith from him, and he's just finishing fletching. Whereas on the other side, there is no blacksmith, no fletching either, and those berry villagers will soon run out of food as well. The blacksmith was just finished. Fletching could be on the way any moment, but it seems like BadBoy is going to retreat for the time being. So, if you look at the overall ecos, they seem to be pretty close. Chinese overall will still have the better eco over Huns, but there is only one villager's lead for Sitaux. So, the Chinese villager advantage isn't really going to show here. It's going to be more about the farming efficiency a little bit over here. Anyways, we will have a full wars from BadBoy by the time these archers from Sitaux arrive. If they arrive, not sure where they are heading. I think they're looking for the archers of their opponent, but they're not there. And now they're going to be very, very mispositioned. So, this is going to be a tricky one for Sitaux to defend, because he's going to try to wall behind, but as you see, the archers are there to deny this one, and now the archers have to walk all the way back. In fact, they're still idle. What is happening to Sitaux? He's trying to defend here with the archer and the skirmisher. A lot of villagers have to be pulled to make this one happen. For now, the house wall is going to go up, and that saves some time, and now it seems like Sitaux wants to loop all the way around and hit the opponent's eco. I think BadBoy is suspecting that he isn't seeing the archers inside the opponent's base, which means that at the end of the day, he could be expecting this counterattack, and he's also fully walled, so those archers won't be able to get in there, although I think there might be a hole here. Oh no, there isn't. There's just a chop down tree. So, as things stand, we have a fairly even resource bank for both players, but the fact that you have 25 or 21 on food for Sitaux here is still impressive, although he's just running out of the forage bushes, but still, that is 17 farms as opposed to 16, so that's also fairly balanced. You could say that these two players are right now head-to-head. Sitaux also mixed in the extra archer armor, as he's got 8 archers on the field alongside 3 skirmishers. 7 and 2 are the numbers for BadBoy. So, the thing is that Sitau's archers are slightly better over here, and I think he actually likes continuing with archers a little bit more than his opponent does, because in Castle Age, both civilizations can play crossbows, but I feel like eventually the Huns will have to transition to cav archers, if that is the case. Still just one range from both players though, so the tech switch to cavalry could occur from either side, as we're gonna have a bit of a TC idling here from Sitaux, hoping that he can click up to Castle Age in a matter of moments. Men-at-Arms actually finding a use for themselves, as a single skirmisher will get picked off by the Man-at-Arms. Men-at-Arms are actually pretty good at soaking up skirmisher fires, so if your opponent isn't paying attention, sometimes you can pick off a couple of skirmishers with a Man-at-Arms. So, on the way to Castle Age is a BadBoy as well, with a 20 seconds deficit over his opponent. I love how Sitaux is using that leftover scout from Dark Age. Look at the scouting that he's having. That's a near perfect scouting. It's so clean that I would think it is auto-scouting. Yeah, this is probably auto-scouting over here. This is too perfect. Every single tile is explored. So this is too perfect to be a manually controlled scout. Yep, exactly. You would never actually scout that part of the map if you were manually scouting. So this is just an auto scout from Sitaux. That's why it's so clean, I believe. Anyways, double range skirmishers is the name of the game from Sitaux, whereas we're going to have a triple range cav archer build from BadBoy. So it seems like Sitaux was expecting this one, which is, let's be honest, not unprecedented from Huns to see this build. It is sort of an all-in build in Castle Age though, which is an interesting decision from BadBoy. I don't know who is the higher seed. I would think based on 1v1 accomplishments, probably Sitaux is. And if you remember, Sitaux was a very, very strong force in King of Desert 3 as well. He made a very, very competitive series against Mr. Yo, ended up losing it, and I think that was the final set he played in the event. So he had an unfortunate early ending, but Sitaux is a very, very underrated player, I believe. In fact, I feel like if you are an esports organization looking for AoE players that aren't signed or aren't belonging to other teams, Sitaux is a good candidate. Technically, he's on the roster of Heresy, but In reality, Heresy is a very, very like inconsistent sort of a thing. It's hard to say. There was one vulture being picked off over here by BadBoy. That's the first vulture casualty of the game. And Sitaux is waiting to intercept this one with elite skirms, and this would be an absolute slaughter. He's gonna have Botkin, elite skirm, crossbow, and now he even has the hill here. Look at this. Botkin, +1 defense, elite skirm, crossbow against just basically few late skirmishers. By the time the elite upgrade comes in here, this army is gone, and we're probably going to see cav archers coming in and an early stable to battle the skirmishers, but this is a nice cleanup. And so far, Sitaux has been playing this one really well, reacted to the archer aggression, and he's going to continue with elite skirm because he probably knows that there is going to be triple stable or triple range archers coming in here very soon. So here's the deal. As I said, Heresy is sort of very, very loose organization, so to say. They technically form a team, but in reality, I'm pretty sure that any of these players could be signed by organizations that are looking for players. And I think that Sitaux, if you're looking for someone who is a really under-the-radar player, Sitaux is one of those. Anyways, we are going to have the scout picked off over here by the cav archers, so that marks the end of Sitaux's scouting adventures. And you see that this is crystal clear scouting. There's no way he was doing this manually, because you don't even need to scout the map tile by tile. The only way you actually have a perfectly clean scouting like this is if you actually use auto scouting, which is not really a big deal, to be honest. It's still better than idling your scout, so you still have a very, very good vision on the map. The only thing that you're not seeing is the opponent's base, though. Anyways, now we're going to see Sitaux finding out about the front gold mine of BadBoy over here, and since BadBoy is playing 1 TC, he's going to be in the trouble of that gold mine potentially being exposed to the skirmishers and crossbows. Mangonel and Scorpion comes in here from a defensive siege workshop for our red player. Second TC is coming up on a stone mine, and one thing that shouldn't be underrated with Huns is my favorite unique unit, Tarkans. A Tarkan switch is pretty easy to pull off with Huns once you get your first castle up, and it could be very devastating against an archer build like this. So unless your opponent specifically techs into pikemen or camels, a Tarkan switch would absolutely be able to snowball this one much faster than Knight switch for multiple reasons. Tarkans train faster, they also have more pierce armor, so if for Huns, I feel like against the full archer skirmisher army, it may actually make sense to think about Tarkans instead of actual Knight switch. Obviously, if you're expecting your opponent to mix in maybe some pikemen, then you might consider Knights a slightly better option against early pikemen until pikemen get a good upgrade. But anyways, we're going to have a pretty decent fight over here for Sitaux, I believe. The cav arch numbers aren't really high, and elite skirms, crossbows here with thumbring and +2/+2, those are fully upgraded, guys. +2/+2, thumbring, ballistics is there as well for Sitaux, so now BadBoy is forced to make a defensive tower. The villager count is still dead even between the two players, as you have 2 TCs working for both. The tower does go up, although one villager might actually lose its life. It's actually 2 villagers being picked off, so that's nice value for Sitaux, who now dives in and picks off another one, and another one. That was a little sloppy from BadBoy. I think he just thought that Sitaux is just going to run away because of the tower fire, but instead Sitaux said, okay, I'm going to commit to this, pick off a couple of villagers, because he's probably preparing a tech switch already. Does he? Does he, though? Sitaux lost a lot of army over here. Sure, he killed a couple of villagers, but at the end of the day, the villager count is still just dead even between the two players. BadBoy is floating a lot of food over here on that town center, just spamming villagers, and he's also having a lot of wood in the bank, so really, BadBoy's eco balance isn't really perfect here. A little bit low on gold as well, he is for triple range cav archer production. You see, he's trying to make mangonels, but that basically means that all of those ranges are idle, and the reason why you make triple ranges is because you want to spam the cav archers and not just trickle in a couple of them every once in a while. But anyways, there is gonna be villagers on stone soon, and maybe, just maybe, we're going to see Tarkans. It's somewhat unlikely because they are rarely used in competitive scene, but still, that I think is one of the very underrated tech switches of Huns. Tarkans with Marauders. Marauders is a very, very cheap technology, and Tarkan switch. The other thing that Tarkans give you is anti-building attack, so it is much easier to get through walls with Tarkans, much easier to take down town centers. You don't need like 25 knights to jump on a TC. You can potentially do that with like 10-15 Tarkans, so that also helps a little bit. Right now, however, it's only 7 Cav Archers, 2 Mangonels, and 1 Scorpion, whereas Sitaux, he's playing defensively, but he's on 3 TCs, and he's going into Imperial, something that we cannot actually tell about BadBoy. Remember, the triple range Cav Archers build is actually sort of... It's not a Castle Age all-in completely, but it's a very, very aggressive Castle Age play. And it delays addition of Town Centers, and that means... by the way, those Cav Archers are missing Ballistics, they're missing Thumb Ring, so really... they aren't really well fit for combat right now, and unless BadBoy can do damage with this push, which seems somewhat unlikely considering the fact that he only has a couple of Cav Archers and those aren't really well suited for combat either, unless he lands some big Mangonel shots here, which actually does happen. I think he's gonna be in trouble, but Mangonel, oh, that is actually a very nice shot. Mangonel fires back, picks up the skirmishers, but at the end of the day, the Scorpions, the Mangonels get cleaned up here, and as I said, at this very moment, just a stalemate isn't really satisfactory for BadBoy, because his opponent is already on the way to Imperial, and in 1.5 minutes we're going to see Arbalest from the Chinese player. I think he's just gonna settle with Arbalest because he doesn't need elite skirms anymore. Arbalest will be able to beat Castle Age Mangonels, Cav Archers, whatsoever, and Arbalest is a much more general purpose unit. So really, I think what BadBoy has to play with is the mobility of his Cav Archers. He should be raiding a lot more, like hitting this wood line, trying to go back, hit this one, split up his Cav Archers, like have 2 Cav Archers here, 5 Cav Archers here. Really, the mobility factor is something that you really have to use with Cav Archers to become efficient with them. They do have bloodlines on them, unsure about husbandry or still no ballistics, as the University is just coming in here for BadBoy. Now he's thinking about Imperial himself. He's off from Stone now, basically, so that means that no Tarkins for us today, or at least not anytime soon, and resources are looking pretty good for Sitaux to grab Arbalest and Bracer at the same time. Bracer comes in here first, soon to be followed by the Arbalest, I believe. In fact, it's queued up behind that crossbow, and he can even squeeze in chemistry for himself. Mangonel will not fire, so those crossbows are still alive. And once they upgrade to Arbalest, those Mangonels will be pretty useless. And now, BadBoy, think about how do I actually proceed with this one. He could try YOLO Castle Age all-inning this one, but I feel like that wouldn't work out anymore, especially because those Cav Archers are missing ballistics, so they're not even particularly good at hitting targets, especially moving targets. And soon, when the Arbalest actually kicks in, they will just start dying very, very easily in direct engagements. Villager count is still very, very close. The problem that BadBoy is facing is that he's not in Imperial, whereas his opponent is. And I think that BadBoy kind of has to think about going up to Imperial himself. He can't fight Castle Age against this one. He seems like he wants to do a Castle Age all-in though with Mangonels and Cav Archers. The problem is that unless the mobility of those Cav Archers is exploited very, very heavily here, I don't think that this is going to work out well, because in a direct engagement, the Arbalest will just absolutely eat the Cav Archers. Those Cav Archers do have +2/+2, and that's a scale barring, but it's a Night Switch. It's a Night Switch, but against Arbalest, Knights don't work out. Tarkans would actually be a slightly better choice here, because what you're looking for is Pierce Armor, and Tarkans have 1 extra Pierce Armor. Obviously, you don't have a castle for Tarkans, but Knights die against Arbalest. Tarkans actually are having a little bit more endurance, not an awful lot more, but obviously, if Tarkans were available, that would be a better choice right now for BadBoy. They're not available, so it doesn't really matter, but soon a castle is going to be a thing for Sitaux. He's 9 on stone, and I think that the castle is just going to be some round over here. Most likely there is apparently a Mangonel coming in here. Mangonels from Sitaux firing, hitting some of the targets, but it doesn't really matter, to be honest, because the Arbalests alone will be able to just destroy this entire army. They can just walk right into the base of the opponent and kill all the villagers. It really seems like BadBoy is trying to go full on Castle Age with this one with 25 on food. Only for him. That's barely enough to make knights, let alone to actually progress towards Imperial, and you can't be forever in Castle Age. I feel like this is just going nowhere for BadBoy, and Sitaux is taking over in this game, firm control right now as he's marching into the opponent's base, and if we see a full Night Switch, we could even see Sitaux affording. I'm not even sure why BadBoy leaked those walls, because it doesn't need a surround, but that's the GG over there. Sitaux takes game number 1 in a very, very convincing fashion. It seemed to me that BadBoy is aware that in late game he might actually fall behind compared to Sitaux, and I think that's something that really needs some thinking about for him. And it's also worth considering that he seems like he wanted to go for a Castle Age all in here. We'll see if that is going to change in the upcoming games, or he still feels like, okay, I don't have a chance in late game, and I'm just gonna go YOLO Castle Age all in this one. The first pick, by the way, was Frank's from BadBoy. Interesting that we have seen, that's not Tatars. Interesting that we have seen Tatars as the first pick from Sitaux. That might be a preemptive thing because he knows that BadBoy loves Tatars. BadBoy is like one of the best saves that BadBoy is playing with is Tatars. Now after the nerf, he actually uses that less. However, while they had the extra sheep right from the Feudal Age up as well, they were extremely strong, and the BadBoy had a specific account that was named Tatar's Boy, and he was only playing Tatars with that. And we're going to slopes to what is going to be a somewhat unconventional Civ matchup, as we will be having BadBoy playing as Mayans on the left in red. Right side is going to be Tatars for Sitaux in blue. Now Tatars is a very, very intriguing civilization pick here, and there's a lot to love about Tatars on this map. The longer lasting sheep helps quite a lot. Obviously that's a general purpose eco bonus. The heal advantage could be huge, but I feel like one of the more underrated things that Tatars can do on this map is the free thumbring. That helps immensely, as it looks like BadBoy is going to steal one sheep from the opponent over here, and he's going for a lame. He is going for a lame here. Sitaux will actually spot that, and that, I think, the board de-aggroes. The board actually de-aggroes and the ego goes down. So that was an absolute disaster for BadBoy. In fact, he didn't find some of his sheep, so Sitaux is going to lame 2 from him. That's an absolute disaster for BadBoy, as he is going for what is going to be a premium drush here. It seems like. So with Mayans, especially the way that this map is often played by players, I feel like we're seeing more and more players attempting Drush-fast castles here on this map. And Mayans could be one of the saves that you actually try doing that with. Longer lasting resources actually helps quite a bit. That's also a sheep related bonus. So both of these civilizations have longer lasting sheep in reality. That's a post-mill Drush over here from Sitaux, but honestly this timing might even be closer to Men-at-Arms play. Neither of the players actually ventured out to the ponds, which I think is a win for BadBoy, to be honest. Because at the end of the day, if he's really playing a Drush FC, and that kind of seems like it, farm is already being dropped. If he plays a Drush FC, Sitaux has to compensate by going for the ponds here, I would say. Unless Sitaux himself is playing a Drush FC, this could still be Drush into archers from either side, and the farm could be a clue for BadBoy that he lost his sheep as well. So he might not just drop that farm because he wants to Drush FC this. He might just drop that because he lost the sheep. Anyways, it looks like the two militias will cancel each other. Neither of the players are actually bothering adding additional militias. It's only going to be 2 from both sides. So Sitaux is going for one more villager at least. But the fact that he isn't queuing up more makes me feel like indeed, villagers will be added to gold. I feel like this is just a Drush into archers play from him, whereas his opponent is seriously considering a Drush FC. That's way too many Dark Age farms for BadBoy for anything other than a Drush fast castle, and he's going for 26 villagers, which would still be just a 25 villager timing with Mayans, and losing 2 sheep, 25 villager Drush archer timing is still completely viable. But there is way too many Dark Age farms for this, and indeed that's gonna be a Drush fast castle here. So we'll see how Sitaux can react to this one. Because the thing is that a Drush fast castle can punish the Drush archers on this map really, really hard. Because if Sitaux went for a fast feudal, he could just go towers and try to punish his opponent for playing greedy. But the Drush archers is gonna have a rather slow feudal age time as well. So by the time Sitaux is gonna be in a position, as he's going to trap that army over there very, very easily. Look at that. That was a nice trap. So by the time Sitaux is going to be in a position to start doing damage to BadBoy's eco, I think BadBoy is going to be clicking up to Castle Age. BadBoy seems to be a little bit low on food, but he is still not going up. In fact, he's very low on food. Holy smokes. He hasn't clicked up to Feudal though. So his Feudal Age is going to be awfully. So this is 28 villagers timing. Obviously, he lost 2 sheep and he's playing Mayans. So he doesn't really have an awfully big eco bonus at the beginning of the game that would help him go for a very, very fast feudal age here. And he goes for 29 villagers timing. But the thing is that it seems like Sitaux is adding more militias. In fact, he's going to be at a total of 5. And now he realizes, hey, my opponent is actually going for Drush FC. So I'm going to mix in a couple more militias, make them men-at-arms. And just try to go for what could be archers or towers as well. I think it's just going to be archers. I don't see any forward villagers, but the problem is that it takes some time until the archers come out. The lucky thing here for Sitaux is that his opponent is still very slow to feudal age. Even for the Rush FC timing, this is a rather slow one, mainly because BadBoy lost his sheep at the beginning, so that's probably the reason why he's this slow. Archers on the way. Remember, these are still Dark Age walls, so men-at-arms actually eat them very, very easily. But it is still a little bit challenging for Sitaux to get through these walls. BadBoy so far doing a nice job re-walling this. You can see, look at how fast those walls die. And it's 5 men-at-arms. I think Sitaux could have actually bashed his way through here. And taking a corner wall like that actually helps quite a bit, because all of your men-at-arms can surround it. So, yeah, BadBoy is just walling, and behind this one there is men-at-arms, but there is an archer now, and that means that the villager won't be able to keep walling. You will have to make a house wall behind that one. The walls are now feudal age walls, so they have more HP, but that's a very, very low HP pile side. And the villager will have to withdraw for the time being. You might actually have to drop a market behind or a blacksmith behind to save it. It's gonna be range and blacksmith up from BadBoy, but one thing that you might notice is that the men-at-arms will actually be able to bash their way in here, as BadBoy, as I said, is going for archers. The berries will be lost and the men-at-arms are in, and this will be the moment where if Sitaux had 4 villagers here, does he have them? Nope, he doesn't. He could actually start dropping towers, and that would make life very, very hard for his opponent. One villager is going to buy the dust here, and you could even make a case for using those 5 men-at-arms to try and bash down those ranges. Or you could try running past the TC. This is a good enough option to run past the TC, no longer it is. And now Sitaux is going to do something that's very, very underrated here. Kill the blacksmith. If he kills the blacksmith and 5 men-at-arms and a scout, will actually kill the blacksmith really fast, especially if the archers can deny the repairs. If you kill the blacksmith, you will delay the upgrades of your opponent, so it doesn't matter that your opponent is going to be Castle Legend, he's going to have crossbows. If he's unable to get even fletching for himself, I think fletching is going to finish before this thing goes down, but Botkin Arrow will definitely be just a distant dream for BadBoy over here, even though his resources aren't really suitable for that either. But that delays BadBoy really heavily. That being said, that's actually going to be a nice position for those archers to be at. And Sitaux is at +1/+1 right now. BadBoy just getting the +1 attack upgrade. I think this blacksmith might not stay up. The positioning is actually really nice from BadBoy. Nice micro over there from Sitaux as well, using the scout kind of as a bait for the archers. And indeed, the blacksmith does go down. So that's going to be an added concern for BadBoy, because eventually he wanted to get the Botkin upgrade for himself when he reaches Castle Age. So the fact that the blacksmith goes down is actually something that hurts really badly for BadBoy. There is no overchop right now on this wood line, but that could change pretty soon. Sitaux is actually progressing towards Castle Age himself. Maybe 5 men-at-arms was a bit of an overinvestment here at the end of the day though, because they will just get cleaned up by archers even. And now that BadBoy is up to Castle Age, he just needs to get crossbow, and crossbow is going to be enough to hold this one, although +1/+1 skirms are surprisingly good at dealing with early crossbows, especially if those crossbows do not have Botkin. So Sitaux might be able to hold against this one with just feudal age skirms, because +1/+1 skirms versus crossbows that won't have Botkin are relatively even, I would say. It's not going to be amazing for either side, but I feel like for Sitaux this is definitely a situation where he can be confident with. And if you look at the resources, in fact, if he had a market, he would be going up. And this is what I was talking about. If your opponent is going for the Rush FC, you can move out for the ponds. You can actually start taking those. And that's going to give you a massive boost. Sitaux is going to drop off the food from the Huntables in a moment. And that is going to mean he's on the way towards Castle Age. So as you see, the skirmishers and the archers are still pinning BadBoy inside his base over here, as Botkin is now coming in for BadBoy, which means that he's going to start clapping this army. But Sitaux is actually delaying this push very, very nicely. BadBoy had to replace his blacksmith, which also hurts because it's an expensive building in terms of wood cost. And instead of potentially going for university and ballistics, you have to replace your blacksmith. And look at this, it's 9 crossbows. Now some of them are already heading to the front though, which is going to be interesting to monitor. And it's going to be a triple range cav archer build from Sitaux. Here's the deal though, he's got Tatars. What? He deleted the range here that was like 50% done. I have no idea if that was intentional or not, but whatever the case, he lost a bunch of wood with that. That was so weird. Anyways, now crossbows are coming in here. Skirmisher defense will hold for a brief moment, but Sitaux was forced to make a defensive tower on his gold mine. So BadBoy's crossbow aggression here is going to be pretty dangerous, as those cheap crossbows are now flooding out of the Mayan archer factories, so to say. Still, if you actually garrison a couple of these skirms, you don't really want to pop them out one by one because they will get killed. You want to garrison all of them and then you unpop all and you clear it up. But here's BadBoy going for the Vultures tower. Will keep this out. Nice defense over there from Sitaux. And as I said, eventually this is going to turn into a Cav Archer build from our Tatar player. First, I think it's a lead skirm because you have enough skirms to justify a lead skirm and you're behind enough to be in the need of that, but eventually that's going to turn into a Cav Archer play, most likely. Sitaux is kind of cornered within his own base, as we have a forward siege workshop on the way from BadBoy. BadBoy is not expanding to the sides, neither is his opponent currently, but Sitaux is having some wood control issues here, so even before a lead skirm would hit, he kind of has to take this fight, otherwise he's not going to be able to control wood. He cleans this up though, and now he can actually start going for what appears to be still a lot of elite skirms coming in here for him, so he's not switching into Cav Archers immediately. It's going to be a slow switch supported by elite skirms. The reaction seems to be just more crossbows from BadBoy in this one, as now it's gonna be Cav Archers on the way. Remember that free tumbling helps quite a bit over here for Sitaux, and if he wasn't really starving for wood this much, he would probably be dropping a university for ballistics soon. But I think, especially considering that he is 75 stone only, that's going to be the next thing that he's doing after he has a consistent production of Cav Archers set up for himself. There's the first mangonel on the way. And the tumbling actually helps a lot for those early Cav Archers. So the free tumbling is a very, very underrated bonus, I believe. It's not underrated, but it is definitely a bonus that has a massive impact on early Castle Age gameplay, especially with Cav Archers. It is helpful for crossbows, but it's extremely helpful for Cav Archers, because tumbling is a so important upgrade for Cav Archers. That being said, there is no defensive siege workshop here from Sitaux, neither is ballistics. In fact, Sitaux is now a little bit low on gold to grab ballistics. He could go for university. Now he can afford it with the stone, but goes for a siege workshop first. And now he's going to start using his mobility, which I think is the right thing to do. If he can use a couple of Cav Archers to push this one and just defend with the lead skirms, the siege workshop is going to go denied though. So this is going to be dangerous, and now there's a battering ram. Sitaux is starting to be in trouble here because he's forced to fight against the mangonel here with just elite skirms. Nice splits so far from him. Eats the big shot with the crossbows or the Cav Archers. However, he's also hitting this wood line from BadBoy, something that BadBoy didn't notice. 3 Voyagers die over here, and there could be Voyagers dead on this side. Mangonel gets cleaned up. Elite skirms now pushing these guys out here. I'm not sure if this range is going to stay up though, because it seems like it's too damaged, and by the time the first mangonel comes out, I feel like that ram is going to be able to finish that range off. But as I said, at this very moment, Sitaux killed 5 Voyagers from his opponent, and he lost 0. More TC idle time though for him, so that actually ends up having an even Voyager count. He does have Horse Collar on his farm, something that his opponent does not have, so that is a nice little extra eco compared to his opponent, as it seems like BadBoy is going to stay within his own base with his second town center, not expand, as Sitaux will be probably playing 1 TC for quite a while here. Mangonel on the way for him, and it's gonna pop out in a moment, so we'll see if he can take this mango down. I think that is actually firing up hills, but it seems like H1 Paris thought otherwise, and now the barracks could be a little bit exposed to the ram push, but I feel like this barracks could be saved by the mangonel. Mangonel will have a repair Voyager as well, and it looks like, okay, now you target the ram. You actually target that ram because you don't want it alive, not necessarily because you need that barracks immediately. It's more about you don't want that ram to be knocking down buildings around your base. So really, Sitaux is actually using his mobility really well. It seems like, based on those 2 dead Voyagers, I think he moved in here to this little pocket and picked off 2 more Voyagers. So he has killed 8 wheels, lost 0. His eco balance isn't really perfect, and now he's only 2 range Cav Archers. So you see that he's heavily hitting a production bottleneck here. He has a lot of units queued up, and he has more resources than what he can spend. So University Ballistics will come in right now for him, but I feel like rebuilding that 3rd range could actually be huge for him. And now he's counterattacking. There is a mangonel that's about to pop out. Will fire downhills into that blob of skirmishers. Many of the skirms losing most of their HP over there, but the mangonel does go down, and the elite skirms are still around. Repair Voyager is also getting picked off. to yield a 10-to-1 villager KD. This wood line is being denied here as well, and I feel like Sitaux will actually start using the mobility of his cav archers more and more in this game, and those cav archers aren't even fully upgraded. In fact, they're missing bloodlines, they're missing husbandry, and they're missing ballistics. So maybe for Sitaux, the next building could be a stable for the stable upgrades for the cav archers for some added mobility and endurance. So Mangonel pops out once again. That's going to be a 1-for-1, which I think is satisfactory for Sitaux, because even though he's only 1 TC, just getting TC number 2 down, BadBoy is actually already on 2 TCs. Look at BadBoy's production though. 10 villagers queued up on this TC, 0 on this one. He either doesn't have it's absolutely possible he doesn't have multi-queue on, because with multi-queue this wouldn't happen. And I think in 2021 everybody's using multi-queue. So really that will be a little bit of a sloppiness from him. Now he cancels a lot of villagers, gets Boso for him over here, as the cav archers will break into the base now. And it's quite a lot of cav archers to fight against. Crossbows will be dispatched to fight them, but it's only 7 crossbows against what's gonna be 13 cav archers with thumb ring and soon ballistics as well. Defensive Mangonel is out. What happened with ballistics? Wasn't it supposed to be finished by now? I don't exactly know. And here is where the Tariko could actually start skyrocketing. So you get the extra sheep for your TC, you can already start jumping on those, and in the meanwhile, we have the crossbows getting cleaned up, so are the villagers. Remember, those are now cav archers with ballistics and thumb ring, and they're pretty dangerous. Overall, a lot of idle time is being forced on BadBoy, who's at 40 minutes or villager idle time compared to just 20 of his opponent. And that's gonna be a couple more villagers picked off. BadBoy will also be off from gold for the moment, which means that he's really unable to get any more crossbows on the field as things stand. It seems like Sitaux was heavy on stone, makes me wonder if he wanted to drop a castle somewhere, potentially for a couple of Keshik. You could mix in a couple of Keshik to try and snipe down the Mangonels. As there is a Mangonel on the way from Sitaux, will try to fire up hills on top of those. The idea would be to take down the Mangonel, but he's targeting the crossbows, and that is going to be 1-for-1 at the end of the day, I believe. Tatars also have the hill bonus, something that is not to be forgotten about. So when those cav archers are holding the hill, they're actually doing a lot of damage against those units. You see that this Mangonel is melting to the cav archers like nothing. And 19 army against 5, 57 villagers against 58, but the villager idle time is crazy high for BadBoy. And most importantly, BadBoy has no gold income, so you see that he's barely able to afford making those crossbows. Now he's on this gold mine, but once the pressure is relieved from Sitau's base, in fact, Sitaux could really use another archer range for some of the production. But behind this one, I think Sitaux is actually starting to boom now. So, in fact, he's floating a lot of gold. Sitau's eco balance is actually pretty bad here. His eco balance is very reminiscent of a triple range cav archer build, but he's no longer triple range, so he kind of has to adjust to that a little bit. And you see the mobility once again being a huge factor, so these cav archers will loop around, and they will probably try to hit these villagers on the wood line first. Sitaux looks over here to see if his opponent has villagers on the outside. Same thing happening on the other side. So he wants to know if the opponent is on the outside or not, because if he isn't, then he will have to take these small wood lines, and that's definitely something that can be denied. A third range coming in here for BadBoy, but even now he doesn't have ballistics. He has university, but you see that he's struggling for either gold or wood at any moment in the game, and that means that he's just unable to afford ballistics, for example. And it's 17 villagers killed to 2. Sitaux actually went off from stone, but you see that, as I said, he is a serious production bottleneck right now. If he cancelled, in fact, he doesn't even hit the cancel, he could add the TC number 3. I feel like Sitaux isn't really doing a good job at spending the resources that he has available. With that many villagers on wood, you might as well add 10 more farmers, because you actually want to progress towards Imperial, and you don't want your opponent to beat you to him, because yeah, you are killing villagers, but Mayans are a sneaky civilization that could always get an early Imperial in for themselves and potentially get Arbalests out and surprise you with it. So, really, either Sitaux needs more production buildings, or now there's a stable, that's fine as well. He's gonna grab the upgrades. For these, ballistics finally on the way for BadBoy, but still, the mobility advantage is on Sitau's side. He's got 69 villagers compared to 69, so that is perfectly balanced and very nice overall. Villagers once again will be added by Sitaux on stone, which means that we're eventually going to see a castle being dropped, as this actually starts to transition into a late game on this map. And funnily enough, the late game on this map is completely different from the early game. So as aggressive And as mobility-based the early game could be, as I said, I feel like this is a scout's map more like an archer's map, although the players are actually thinking otherwise, apparently, in many instances. But there is really no consensus in the players on what this map really is, as these Cav Archers, I think, will just be cleaned up, although it's very, very close. And the Cav Archers end up winning this one by a narrow margin. There's a forward siege workshop coming in here from Sitaux, as it looks like BadBoy wants to go for a castle. But other side, Cav Archers break in. So, once again, the mobility advantage is huge here, and really there is no consensus between the players about what type of map this is. Some players like to play with archers, some like to play with scouts. So we have seen picks like Magyars, for example, we have seen picks like Britons on this map. So really, the meta is sort of not really figured out. Rams on the way, already pushing up the siege workshop, and there is already a siege workshop over here as well that is supporting the mangonels to knock this one down. And still, defensive castle is just distant dream for BadBoy. Eagle comes out here. That's a little bit sloppy from Sitaux, that he doesn't have a defensive unit, anything that could actually help that mangonel stay alive, and that mangonel is gonna go down very, very easily to just a single eagle. That was a nice snipe over there from BadBoy. But with all of that kept in our mind, look at Sitau's resources. He's in a position to drop a castle in the opponent's face, and I think that you kind of have to do it over here, because a castle here would secure you this wood line, it would deny this gold, it would deny this stone from your opponent, so there would be a lot of love for Sitaux with such a castle position. And his food eco is still not really well developed for a late game play here. He's still extremely heavy on wood, so you see that he's probably too busy microing his military units here. That's the only reason why I can see him having this unbalanced eco, but this is extremely unbalanced. As I said, this is even a lot of villagers on wood for a free range or triple range Cav Archer build, but this is just a single range. You see, he's floating 400, 500, if not more, and he already has a lot of Cav Archers queued up in these ranges, so he's either hitting a production bottleneck or he's just not balancing his eco well enough. Now, there is still no foothold on the outside for BadBoy, which means that he's forced to take wood over here as the Rams are coming in. Forward castle on the way from Sitaux, and I don't see BadBoy being able to stop this one by any means. Mangonel coming out from Sitaux as well. The Cav Archers will just dive beneath the TC here and try to snap down the repair villagers. It's actually worth it for Sitaux at this stage. And the Rams also knocking on the archer range. Mangonel is going to finish it off. And you kind of have to snipe that Mangonel, otherwise that castle could be in danger. So I feel like Sitaux didn't do a good job at transitioning to a later stage of the game, because as mobility based and as raiding based the early stage of this game is on this map, as the crossbows find a couple of villagers to kill on Sitau's base. In fact, that's a lot of dead villagers from Sitaux, and that actually propel BadBoy into a villager lead. But this map is actually much more grindy and slower paced, so to say, with a huge emphasis on well-positioned defensive castles, well-timed trap wars, instead of actually raiding based in late game. And there's going to be the castle from BadBoy, and keep in mind that BadBoy is going to be able to imp soon, and this is what I was talking about. Sitaux didn't really transition his eco well enough here. He isn't really using the sheep here, he used it up over here already, but he's still just 26 on food, and you should be about 35-ish at least on food by now. But he finds a beautiful raiding opportunity here and compensates for all his villagers lost, and that means that it's a 43 to 15 villager KD, a mangonel 1-for-1 happening over here. And I think the problem that BadBoy is facing right now is that he doesn't have gold income, and well, even wood income is less than ideal, let's say. So now I think Silk Armor is your Castle Age upgrade for Tatars, but I always confuse the two. Yeah, it has to be. Silk Armor is your Castle Age upgrade, and Timurate Siegecraft is your Imp one. Also, look at this. Look at how late that Boso and Wheelbarrow is from Sitaux, and just look at this production bottleneck. He's too focused on microing his Cav Archers here, which I don't blame him for, but behind this one, his macro wasn't really super sharp. I like that he's taking the Shorefish here, that's definitely a good direction. But BadBoy wants to imp this, and this is not over just yet, especially with Mayans that have a rather cheap army composition, which means that they don't need an awful lot of villagers to be able to survive. That being said, there needs to be a foothold here for BadBoy, and now I think Sitau's gonna see the villagers moving out, and he even sees the crossbows. He could try running past over here and just going for his villagers. If he actually stops this, then it's game over for BadBoy. Imperial time actually will be completely even, so Sitaux may have reacted just in time to save the day here. And it's worth noting that there is no stone income right now for BadBoy, whereas Sitaux is 14 on stone. And if you're Sitaux right now, you actually reinforce this position with another castle. Somewhere around over here could actually make sense, so you deny that gold mine. And the reason why you need 2 castles is because you want to win a trap war here, 2-1. And now we're gonna have more cav archers on the way. As I said, silk armor is something that you should definitely consider. It's called silk armor, right? Is the one that gives a lot of pierce armor to cav archers. That's a very, very nice upgrade for Tatars. Is it silk armor, though? I'm not sure if that's the Kuman or this unique tech. One of the Kuman unique techs is the Kipchak mercenaries. No, wait. It is this civ, because Kumans have step husbandry and the Kuman mercenaries. So this is the civ with silk armor. Which means that Silk Armor is also Castle Age upgrade, because Timur Siegecraft is the Imperial Age upgrade. So Silk Armor is definitely something that Sitaux could actually think about. With that being said, there is additional stone income coming in here for BadBoy once again. He is behind by 25 villagers though. He has a safe wood income, safe stone income. Now gold is going to start becoming a concern for him though. And Sitaux is going for apparently a very, very passive castle spot over here. I'm not a big fan of this, to be honest. Like, it secures this corner, helps secure this gold. It seems like all corners have... no, not all corners have 1 tile of gold. So that extra gold actually is going to be very, very helpful for Sitaux. My main concern for him looking at this is that he's going to lose a trap war here. Something that he could have won if... oh, he's gonna get housed as well. That hurts so badly. Because in a trap war like this, you want to get that trap out as soon as possible. Nice find from BadBoy, picking off a couple of villagers as a revenge. Heavy CA, Chemistry, and Bracer on the way for Sitaux at the same time. And the traps will be coming out as well for both players. There's already a second trap queued up as well for Sitaux. So if BadBoy isn't queuing up a second one, he's going to lose his advantage in the trap war. And he's probably too busy trying to fight this one. I feel like the reason why I don't like Sitaux, you know, not having silk armor... Actually, he does have silk armor now. He has to have it because it's +4 pierce armor. And you see that there is no +4 defense just coming in. So, okay, he got silk armor. That's a nice decision. I think he needs to get it before Imperial, because if he does it after reaching him, he won't be able to make traps. And we got some skirms coming in here. Tatar heal bonus is also getting sick over here, so the skirm's getting a couple of kills. But more importantly, there's a second trap on the way for Sitaux, and that's not something that BadBoy is doing. Which means that at the end of the day, this is supposed to be an easy trap war win for Sitaux, although we have to add that the loss of those villagers on the front is actually going to hurt Sitaux really badly, because while BadBoy can pull villagers to repair this castle, that's not really possible for his opponent. So, really, if those villagers survived, you could actually pull villagers to repair. There's going to be 3 villagers coming in to repair. You see that BadBoy is committing what is 12 overall, so should be more or less enough to delay this one until this castle goes down from Sitaux, and Sitaux could lose that castle over there. Something that shouldn't have happened, to be honest. The loss of those villagers is going to haunt him for quite a long time. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness, that is a disaster. BadBoy was probably thinking about the castle drop on this side, but that's an absolute disaster. He just ran into a huge army of cav archers, and there's no way these villagers escape. And my army is cheap too, but it's not cheap enough to allow you to lose 20-30 villagers like that very, very easily. The castle goes down, but I think, honestly, the traps might be able to finish off BadBoy's castle. BadBoy's gonna start running low on stone soon as the cav archers dive in. Cav archers now have 6 pierce armor, so they withstand some punishment from the castle fire, and also they withstand a lot of crossbowman fire. This is 9 damage with 6 pierce armor on those cav archers. The cav archers will just laugh at it. Even Arblast struggle a little bit against Tatar cav archers. That pierce armor is pretty scary to fight against. And I'm not even sure if it was actually Parthian tactics or that, but it doesn't really matter. It's 6 pierce armor, and indeed, BadBoy taps out. I feel like the final nail in the coffin was losing all these villagers over here. He dropped down to 66 villas, and Sitaux firm control over this series as he takes over 2-0 So let's take a look at what the second home map is going to be for BadBoy. His second home map will be Gold Rush. So that's where we're going. Mayans will be gone for BadBoy, and Sitaux will be losing Tatars. So both teams pretty much, it's not even teams, it's players. That's what I wanted to say. So both players pretty much lose their top 3 civilization picks to either being used up in the first 2 games or to a snipe. So Gold Rush is likely going to be a Berbers map, maybe. Japanese, Malay, Malians are available. I would think that Malians will be Cross, Bay will be Malay. Cross could be Japanese as well, to be honest, so there's a lot of versatility there. Other side, Mongols is still available for Sitaux, which could be a good civ still for Bay. It could be a good civ for... I would think it has to be Bay for Sitaux. Khmer for potentially Gold Rush with Khmer would be a decent idea, and Vikings is still available, and Celts as well, so there's a lot of versatility on both sides. It's pretty hard to predict what the players are going to go for, and it seems like we are going to have Khmer versus Berbers matchup. So why is Khmer good here? The reason why Khmer can be good is because you can actually do a 23+0 fast castle because the map is volable enough. And that fast castle allows you to go for fast knights and convert that into a siege push over here. So that's the concept behind the fast castle Khmer play over here. Berbers are used here because they have cheap knights and even camels as well available. So they're actually very, very good at doing early castle age pressure by just overrunning you with knights and then securing a forward position for a siege workshop. So the concept with the two civs is pretty much the same. You want an early advantage in castle age and then transition into a siege push with that. Still, I think this is going to be a little tricky for the Khmer player, because one thing I noticed with a 23+0 fast castle from the Khmer player is that it takes quite a lot of time until they can actually add additional town centers, and it is probably just better to go for 24+2 fast castle if you are Berbers, especially considering as BadBoy is losing a lot of HP over here on that scout. His walling himself up makes me believe that this is going to be a fast castle from both players over here. Indeed, here come the farms from Sitaux, so that's a clear indication that we're gonna have farms coming in here, although Sitaux is actually going 21? No, there's more villagers. He just went for early loom. So that is something that's completely fine. For a 23+0, as it is actually going to be 24+0 from Sitaux, and it even has loom on it, so this is not a super fast castle from the Khmer player by any means. 24 and loom plus 0 is actually a slower version of this FC. It's still a fast castle build, and it's actually still quite fast, but it's not as fast as the fastest possible FC. I think one of the reasons why that didn't happen is because you didn't have the deer pushed in here. Anyways, on the other side we'll have what seems to be 27+2 here. That's actually pretty late. And also Sitaux went for multiple villagers in feudal. Now that is an interesting turn of events, I have to say. So it seems like he wasn't able to click up to Castle Age immediately. He went up at like 24, but he goes up at 27, so it's 24+3, which is, I'm not going to say disaster for Khmer, but it's actually close to that. This is probably not how Sitaux imagined this, and his opponent went for 27+2 over here, which results in what is going to be a knight and camel opening at the same time, supported by a monastery. Stonewalls from Sitaux, something I think is a very, very underrated thing. I don't exactly know why he's stonewalling himself, but I think he might think that he's up against camel archers. And against camel archers, the stonewalls would make a lot of sense. And why would he think that he's up against camel archers? Because of the 27+2 timing, that's why. So 27+2 could be a camel archer time for BadBoy, and it would be a completely legitimate play, but in reality that's just a delayed castle age here for what is going to be a pretty well-developed deco for BadBoy, to be honest. Cheap Berber Knights, you already have a pretty decent villager count working for you, so you should be able to drop additional TCs rather soon, as the camels will be on the field. It seems like we already have one conversion from Sitaux over here, who himself has very, very little upgrades on those units, only one stable. And as I said, the main concern that I'm having when I'm looking at this fast castle build from Kummer is that the faster you go up to the next stage, the weaker your economy behind that is going to be. And it seems like it's going to be one TC build from both players for quite a while, but as things stand, I'm a little bit more convinced about the army composition of a BadBoy over here. There is going to be Monastery coming in for Sitaux as well, but only one stable. So it's double stable Knights Camels versus single stable Knights Camels. Both of these will be supported by monks. That's an early husbandry coming in here for BadBoy. In fact, that husbandry is coming in faster than the Bloodlines upgrade. That is either a mistake from BadBoy, like a wrong hotkey or so, or if it's intentional, it's definitely an intriguing decision. Like, it makes some sense to go for a faster moving cavalry because you want to be able to chase down monks really fast. That's the concept. You want to just rush on those monks and kill them as fast as possible, as there is the forward siege workshop. And we are gonna have one conversion in here, and now you delete that knight. If you're a BadBoy, you delete that knight. Indeed, that is going to happen as well. Both players apparently are trying to colonize this other ridge here. There is the siege workshop coming in from BadBoy to push this one. Remember that the cheaper knights from Berbers helps being very, very aggressive over here, and also they have the upper hand at being able to mix in camels. Sanctity on the way for Sitaux, so his monks have a little bit more endurance. There is no Sanctity, I believe, for BadBoy, and that I'm right in. And a second monastery, and even a barracks, so we'll see what Sitaux has on his mind. Right now, I think that he is sort of trying to do multiple things against this push, but we'll see which of these will eventually materialize, because he's trying to make double monastery monks and spearmen, also moving to the middle. It seems like this is going to be one TC build from BadBoy over here, so I did mention that he went for a very aggressive game in the Arabia map. He also tried being, or using an aggressive build on slopes. Those didn't really work out. We'll see if this does. That was some very, very nice micro, by the way, from Sitaux, picking off the monk with the scout, but the numbers are disappearing for Sitaux. And as I said, yeah, it's a couple of spearmen on the field, but the fact that Berbers have the cheap cavalry, the fact that Berbers can mix in those cheap knights, they can go double stables really easily here, camels, and so that Mangano is gonna get wasted over here as the other units were idle. There is the third range. Or, not range, it's stable. So it's 12 army against 2, and now the combination of Berbers and, or Berber Knights and Camels will be just absolutely amazing. And, oh, that's so bad for Sitaux. He tried to revolt this one, but now this is an opening. Luckily for him, this is only Camels, but still Camels can cause a lot of chaos inside your eco, especially if they force you off from gold. Multiple bracks coming in here right now for Sitaux as he tries to transition into pikemen, but it actually helps Berbers because ideally in late game I think Berbers want to get to Camel Archer. So if you're going for full pikemen, your opponent eventually will go for Camel Archer, and that is going to be a forward town center, I believe, from BadBoy. No, just a mining camp, but he could easily drop a TC there if you look at his resources. Just delete the mining camp and drop a TC. I'm not sure why he's just going for a mining camp, but one of the reasons why Berbers was a very, very devastating civilization in 2v2 World Cup on this map is because you can really overrun your opponent with the cheap cavalry in early Castle Age and force him off from gold in the middle. Mangano fires, I think it killed at least one of the monks, and the rest was finished off by the cavalry, and it is still a massive, massive army lead for BadBoy, who opponent, Sitaux, is struggling to get numbers out on the field. There's a couple of spearmen coming in, but there's barely anything that can stop this army. And soon, this army is going to get more and more dangerous, because now that there is no more knights on the field from Sitaux, you can actually start making full knights and consider diving beneath that town center at some point. Obviously, that's going to take some more time, as multiple more monks are on the way. From Sitaux, Mangano pops out, takes a shot, and that's a nice 1-for-0. As Sitaux tries to get a couple of conversions in Scorpion, firing down hills, trying to finish off the Monk. Knight actually is going to be beating that up, but the Mangano is the deciding factor over there. Still, if you look at the military numbers, I'm not really impressed, and the monks are dying just as fast as the converted units. And honestly, with Berber's cheap cavalry, you might even make a case for it's easier for BadBoy to replenish the cheap cavalry that he's losing to conversion than it is for Sitaux to replenish the monks that he's losing in these engagements, and that's gonna be no conversion, little unlucky RNG. Worth pointing out that even though Sitaux has a 2 Voyagers lead, he's got a lot of idols inside that TC, and some of those Voyagers might even get killed by the mangonel fire. It seems like BadBoy is committing everything he's got to this Castle Age push. One thing I'm concerned about is that I feel like, or at least I'm not concerned about it, but BadBoy should be, is that if Sitaux is able to afford the pikeman upgrade, things start turning around really badly, because as long as it's only spearmen, the knights with +1/+1 can probably jump the spearmen, especially if there is monks behind that could potentially heal the knights later on. But once those are pikemen, this is a completely different scenario. There's 1 knight getting converted, 2 knights. That was actually pretty nice overall for Sitaux. Gets another knight for himself, so definitely something that makes him hold this one for a while. And in the long run, the Khmer eco is going to be much better, even though it's only 13 on food. And remember that Sitaux still has a foothold in the middle, so I think that this defense was actually stellar from Sitaux, and he's on 2 TCs against his opponent being on 1, and he also has the power of the Khmer farming eco, so Sitaux is in a firm control over this series, and he's very close from in this series to winning this and getting into the final round of the qualifiers. Obviously, there's a lot to come still here, so this game is far from actually won. But if the game continues like we're seeing it right now, so BadBoy unable to push here, that's actually a nice mangonel shot on top of those monks. But if the game continues like this, then Sitaux is gonna have a good shot at winning it, because eventually he's going to be able to outboom his opponent. You see that the eco lead is now growing and growing, but you still have to be careful because Berbers is a very dangerous Civ to fight against. Knight snipes down the monk over there. So Berbers can always overrun you with knights and camos. I feel like Sitaux really needs that pikeman upgrade, but he's just so low on food. Like, still 13 on food only for him. So really, based on the previous game, based on this one, he's definitely having some eco balance issues at the end of the day. Because I think if he actually if he had the pikeman upgrade, this would be much better for him overall. Because there isn't really a lot of siege on the field from BadBoy. Sitaux is mostly killing those really fast. So if these were actually pikemen, not spearmen, then they would be much more devastating, and there's going to be a +2 defense coming in for those knights. So BadBoy is not giving up on this one, and Berbers can always overrun you in Castle Age with knights, and that starts to show over here, to be honest. Sitaux also stopped making his own knights, which is somewhat understandable because he was up against camos, but the problems here right now for Sitaux is numbers. He's just getting awfully outnumbered, to a point where he has the TC full of villagers, but he's gonna start losing the other villas because there is no more room for those, and it's a lot of village idle time as well for Sitaux. It seems like now the Berber unit flood is starting to show. I saw fletching coming in for Sitaux to pretty much just boost the firepower of that TC, but even then, the problem that he's facing is that he doesn't have the numbers on the field, doesn't have the unit quality on the field. He's double brags but barely making spearmen. No pikeman upgrade. Really, I feel like his eco balance wasn't really on point here. So he had way too many villagers moving out for gold, and he still is sitting on 12 farms. And eco balance was a concern for him in the previous game, whereas for BadBoy, this is not an amazing eco balance either. So he's floating a lot of wood, could add a couple more farmers. But for the Berber Knight flood that he's doing now, it is absolutely satisfactory. And we are talking about the 12 to 6 military numbers right now, and it's 5 monks though, so that is something that Sitaux could still hold if he gets a couple of good conversions, but he needs some very good conversions over here. BadBoy is also getting a TC up over here in the middle now, as the mangonel will get sniped down, so will 1 monk. Additional monks will also get killed. I think this is a very tough spot for Sitaux to be in, and those knights didn't even have bloodlines. Imagine if these knights actually had bloodlines. Remember that BadBoy actually went for fast husbandry, and I think this might be enough knights now with bloodlines and +2 defense. It's 12, you don't jump that TC just yet. Or do you? You probably don't. Finally, pikeman upgrade coming in here for Sitaux, but he's gonna have 2 spearmen on the field, so that doesn't change the fact that I think this is an upgrade that comes in way too late for him. And now BadBoy is going to start booming up himself. In fact, he takes over in terms of villager count. Mangonel shot misses the target but damages the monk behind. Siege Trap just coming in here from Sitaux, but he's going to be fighting against the hill, and it is 17 army against 2, with I think little hope from Sitaux of stopping this Night Flood if they actually start running into his base. I like that BadBoy is taking his time here, because it is actually extremely important to heal up those knights, because a lot of them are very, very weak. But eventually I think he's going to start pushing this part of Sitau's eco, who is also going to be in a more and more urgent need of an army. Still just 5 military, trying to get pikemen out on the field, but this, I think, as I said, it came too late. It came too late to stop this flood, and now there is going to be a big commitment. Battering ram knights will just jump on top of this. You want your knights to be close to the battering ram so the villagers can just jump out and kill that. But yeah, see, a couple of pikemen trying to come out here. Monks are actually fairly reasonable at the beginning against pikemen, because as long as your opponent is like in the early stages of the pikeman switch, it takes... Well, it doesn't take a lot of time to make pikemen. It's about he doesn't really have a lot of pikemen, so converting 1 or 2 of them significantly reduces their numbers. And it seems like Sitaux is going to call it indeed, because he's getting stomped in the middle. BadBoy isn't going out here without a fight, and after losing his first home map in Arabia, he is going to take his second home map with a very, very convincing Berber display. I'm not sure what was the original plan for Sitaux. I think he wanted to just fast castle Night Siege push this one, but his build order wasn't perfect for this. And also, at the end of the day, I feel like by the time he was able to start pushing, his opponent also showed up with knights. So nicely done by BadBoy, I have to say. This was definitely the cleanest game from him, and he seems like he always wants to play with these very aggressive plays in this series. So we'll see what he can do on the opponent's home map, and that is going to be cross for Sitaux. Right now we'll have a Japanese versus somewhat unconventional Mongols gameplay over here. We will have BadBoy playing in red as Japanese on the south, and to the north is going to be Sitaux as Mongols in blue. So Mongols is still a good civilization for this map, because it's a fairly versatile civilization. Allows you to go for a fast feudal, which could be very helpful when it comes to sneaky dog. Allows you to get a nice little edge into feudal age, as I said, with the hunt, if you want to go for like an early aggression, like archers, scouts as well. The late game composition is very, very devastating. I think the problem that Mongols are facing is going to be their mid game, and that is an early lumber camp. That's a very, very early lumber camp, and now you see why Sitaux is picking Mongols here. What he's trying to replicate is the Lithuanian fast dog build. Lithuanian fast dog build is basically sending your villagers to wood instead of taking food at the beginning, because you start with a lot of extra food. Here, what you do is push in deer, and because you have faster gathering workers from hunt, you're going to be able to just keep your TC working with 4 villagers on food, which means you can actually go to wood a lot earlier. If you go to wood a lot earlier, that means that you can drop your dock a lot earlier, and you will have a nice little advantage when it comes to establishing your fishing eco. And on the other side, we'll have a pretty nice base overall for BadBoy. I would dare to say that this is actually a near perfect base for him. He's got a gold at the back. Stone is actually defendable. The main concern is this part, and this is why I'm saying it's near perfect. Oftentimes you see forward golds or forward berries for players on this map, so compared to those, this is definitely a good map, and it's relatively easy to wall off here on the left and here on the right, so you could protect your pawn very easily. But at the end of the day, I feel like the opening here on the right side is kind of screwing this map over a little bit for BadBoy. So woes are coming up. These are actually very, very nice woes from BadBoy, exactly to protect his fishing eco from sneaky dogs, whereas Sitaux is going into feudal age here with a back dock as well. His base is actually somewhat comparable, so technically he could actually wall off his pond as well, so there is no sneaky dogs coming up. And that is a very, very fast feudal age over here from Sitaux, going for a range. Now, as things stand, it seems like actually we're going to see a fast castle from BadBoy. This is 32 eco overall, and only 5 of them are fishing ship. This is actually a fast castle from BadBoy. I like this. More and more times are we seeing players going for fast castles on this map, because the fishing eco actually helps you go for a very, very nice and easy FC. And oftentimes the map is vulnerable enough to hold out until you're actually able to go up, and I think that this is going to be a stable blacksmith up. If you look at the food count, especially with Japanese that even have faster working fishing ships, this is a perfect scenario for BadBoy. His lake is uncontested. You see that there is a villager coming in here from Sitaux, but that might be either going for this spawn or it's just going to be unable to go to this spawn, so it doesn't really matter. And Sitaux is going for archers, but by the time those archers get through those walls, it is very legitimate and very possible that we're going to see BadBoy already on the way to Castle Age. He tried a greedy fast castle. It was a Rush FC on slopes. Didn't work out. I feel like he's got a better shot over here because I think by the time Sitaux anticipated that this is coming, he was already up and he was already making archers. So the difference between this game and the slopes game could be that there is no man-at-arms on the field that helps you get through those walls. And indeed, BadBoy even went for a no-loom feudal, which is a little bit greedy, but grabs loom right away. There is the blacksmith, and that's a range. So it's naked FC crossbows. Personally, like, it is debatable which is better here. Because you can actually start making archers while you're going up to Castle Age. So you could have like 5, 6, 7 crossbows out, but well, not 5, 6, 7, but probably 4 or 5 crossbows out by the time you reach Castle Age. And it seems like this is actually a very, very nice build from BadBoy. This is not a build that he just improvised. This is definitely something he practiced, because probably one of the reasons why he went up this late is because he wanted to do double range. And if it's a double range consistent archer production, and I have I think every right to believe that it is going to be consistent archer production with that eco, you are going to be able to get about 8-10 crossbows out really fast here. Now, Sitaux, on the other hand, he's got the hunting bonus of the Mongols, and he also had his fishing eco working for him. So at the end of the day, he's not going to be lagging that much behind in terms of Castle Age timing. So eventually, especially considering that he already started making archers, I feel like he's going to be about a minute behind. Yeah, that's going to be about a minute behind. That's actually pretty impressive for Sitaux, so that reaction was rather fast. And remember that he's going to be on 2 pawns, so he's got a 3 villagers lead. Obviously, because he's later into Castle Age, that's going to fade away. But the fact that he's got 2 pawns actually helps a lot. Now he starts fooling himself. The problem that he's facing that his base is still very, very open second range on the way for him. Whereas BadBoy is just mixing archers back at home. I assume that the next part of the plan would be to go for a forward siege workshop, just like we have seen with the attempt on slopes, for example. So archers getting through these walls, but they won't really be able to do much over here because there's second layer already, and these crossbows will be moving out rather fast here from BadBoy. Sitaux is still having sort of an eco lead a little bit, mainly fueled by these fishing ships, and it seems like we're going to have a sneaky villager coming in here to the right from BadBoy, so he will start contesting that pond, and Sitaux is by far not walled, and this is something that BadBoy is aware of. He has a 1 HP scout over here, still looking at this hole, and he will probably try to block this one as much as possible. Sitaux knows that trouble is coming his way, but this might be way too late for him to react to. He's gonna have to pull the archers back to fight those crossbows, but those holes are still open, and the timing of those crossbows will be just right, as they will be able to intercept these villagers. Scout also joins the party, and that's one dead villager. The berries are a little exposed, and the woodland also had to be abandoned. That was a very, very nice timing from BadBoy over there. Sitaux is almost up as well, but that's already an achievement that you actually forced him off from his gold. So you see that Sitaux will be able to afford Botkin crossbow, but the fact that he had to relocate half his eco is definitely far from ideal. In fact, if those crossbows just dive in on the villagers, that could also be fine for BadBoy. Tries to fight against the archers. Archers holding the hill until they get the crossbow upgrade themselves. And so TC is coming in here. Interesting position from BadBoy, but he's going to be playing 3 TCs, gets a dock up here, and he will probably start pushing the fishing eco of Sitaux. So one of the pawns on this map so far is uncontested, and I feel like these crossbows will probably be cleaned up, but the next batch of crossbows is coming in, and Sitau's eco here could be exposed. Villager count is dead even right now between the 2 players. Eco upgrades are as well, as Sitaux does have no armor upgrades on those crossbows. There is a +1 defense on BadBoy's crossbows, and now indeed he's focusing down villagers, hoping that he can get 1 or 2 villagers before his army would go down over here. And also is distracting these crossbows on the other side. That's their thing. He's trying to distract this army, And in the meanwhile, moving on the left with the crossbows, maybe try to get a couple of vulture picks over there. It seems like he's already having a fire galley, so that to me feels that he is... Yeah, he sees the house, so he knows that there is a dock here from his opponent. And the village idle time is what's going to be huge for Sitaux here. He constantly has to relocate his wood lines. Like, for example, he doesn't have a safe wood income right now. This wood line is denied, this wood line is denied. So really, Sitaux is starving for wood a little bit, and that's going to hinder his crossbow production. You see that he's unable to afford more crossbows, which means that he's going to start falling behind. So BadBoy is actually using his raiding potential quite nicely. As Sitaux moves back to this wood line, crossbows coming in here, they could just march into the base of Sitaux over there as well. I think that is the plan exactly. And since Sitau's entire army is chasing this one down, Sitau's got 11 crossbows, and all 11 are chasing this army is going to have no problem running inside and getting a couple of vulture picks. BadBoy's army control is definitely very, very good in this one. And if Sitaux loses, this is an even series. And after the first two games, it seemed like Sitaux is going to edge out a 3-0 here. But the more I'm looking at this one, the more I'm feeling that BadBoy is gaining confidence and BadBoy is gaining the upper hand in this series. Dare I say, he's 3 TCs as well, so it's one thing that he's able to raid his opponent's eco. But look at this, Fire Galley is cleaning up Sitau's fishing eco here. It's going to be 3 pawns very soon for BadBoy because Sitaux is still a little bit low on wood because of all those pushes into his eco. And look at this! It is just so good! And this counterattack is coming, but is it going to do much? No, because BadBoy's woodlines are much, much better. And Sitaux is unable to access wood, which means that he's going to struggle getting ships out on the field. He's going to struggle getting potentially defensive siege weapons out there. BadBoy is going to lose 2 free vultures in this one, so that's definitely not ideal. But at the end of the day, he's forcing so much idle time on the opponent's eco. Those crossbows are just denying the wood line so well. And behind this one, as I said, it is a 3 TC boom from BadBoy. It's 60 vultures compared to 45, despite the fact that he only cleared 3 more vultures than his opponent did. But it is what it is, right? It is Japanese fishing eco as well working for him. He's got multiple pawns, whereas his opponent only has 1. In fact, this pawn could also be contested by a dock here if BadBoy wants to. Crossbows will try to break in here, but once again, they will find absolutely no use for themselves in this position. There's just nothing that they can kill there. Crossbows from BadBoy will once again go for a counterattack. And I feel like at this point, BadBoy just wants to keep up the pressure and sit on the lead that he's having right now. Beautiful, beautiful fight over there from BadBoy. Both players do have ballistics, no tumbling for either side, but there is a +1 defense for both. BadBoy had the hill, so he was able to take a decent engagement over there. Nice micro from Sitaux, trying to camp the hill as much as possible. But Sitaux is going to get cleaned up over here pretty easily. And it is a 69 vultures lead compared to 48. That is getting bigger and bigger. And the thing is that since you're going for archers only and you're using your TCs to consume food, that's the only place where you're consuming food at. With the Japanese fishing eco, you will start seeing the food piling up like crazy for BadBoy, which would mean that he's going to start progressing towards Imperial. Now, that being said, it looks like Sitaux is actually going to transition to Cav Archers over here. In fact, it's triple range from him. Forward Siege Workshop comes in as well, and military numbers are now evening up. Not sure where the rest of the crossbows are from BadBoy, but he'll probably try to camp this hill. Sends a couple of vultures to stone, so probably a defensive castle could be happening in the foreseeable future. +2 defense not in for either of these players, but the hold is there for BadBoy for now. And as I said, as long as he's holding, he's going to be fine. He's got a 30 vultures lead. And really the fishing eco is going to start showing its power really soon, as you see, especially with gill nets. But even without gill nets, as one thing I would dislike for BadBoy is that he went for this many farms without horse color. I think that horse color just finished, if I'm not mistaken. Whereas for Sitaux, he's still using his fishing eco exclusively to get food for himself. There is nothing else, like, right? Yeah, not a single farm. He's actually still on berries and fishing eco now, adding a bunch of vultures to stone, so he's gonna transition or at least start moving towards Mangoda. And one of the things that Japanese don't have over Mongols is mobility. So the mobility advantage is definitely on the side of Sitaux, and that's the way for him back into this game. Just using the mobility of the Cav Archers and trying to raid the opponent's base. And I'm not 100% sure that that is gonna go up, and indeed, I think that that's a bit too late. It actually goes up in time. Crossbows now arrive for a defense, and you see what I said. Since you're not really using a lot of food, you're just making villagers, sort of. you're actually going to pile up an awful lot of food over time with those fishing eco, and that means that that's going to be the one that fuels you to Imperial Mangle on the way. And really, if BadBoy actually idles his DCs for a moment, he could probably click into Imperial in the foreseeable future. Right now he's a little bit low on gold, so probably that's the reason why he's not thinking about that yet. But if he actually has these Voyagers to gold, I think BadBoy could be going into Imperial in about the next 2 or 3 minutes. But until then, he's gonna have to survive, and his opponent is heavy on stone, so he has to be careful not to get castle dropped here. There's a 1 mangonel inside that siege workshop. Sitaux is actually getting close to the workshop, now trying to mango down that TC. That's going to be an uphill firing mangonel, indeed. That means that even a direct hit from BadBoy wasn't able to finish it off, and that's going to end up being a 1-for-1. Cav Archers trying to take a decent engagement over here, but they're being chased down by crossbows. I feel like these crossbows could once again start pushing Sitau's eco, because you don't really have to clean these Cav Archers up right now. They're not really doing much of a damage. In fact, BadBoy could just stonewall this. That would be the right play, I think. Gold miners. That could be a lot of that Voyagers from BadBoy, to be honest. Sitaux is not noticing. Okay, now he noticed, and he's gonna start picking off Voyagers in massive quantities. It's still a 40 Voyagers lead for BadBoy though, and there will be a couple of crossbows pushing this wood line as well. 3 Voyagers were killed, but I don't think that that is satisfactory for Sitaux. Mangonel pops out, tries to kill the Repair Voyager that did die, and there's the counterattack from BadBoy. So this is a risky play that he's doing over here because he's up against 4 Mangonels now, so he's really getting pushed here quite hard. And there's also Cav Archers trying to push his eco, but in the meanwhile, look at this. He's hitting this wood line over here, he's hitting this wood line over here, and Sitaux is losing Voyagers left and right while he's focused at microing his units here. This siege workshop goes down just before another Mangonel could have popped out, but it is 55 Voyagers against 109, and Sitaux has 0 on wood. So he can't replace the Mangonels, he can't replace the Archers. Sitaux will probably drop a defensive castle eventually, but I feel like this has spiraled out of control for him because his opponent is going into Imperial. As I said, that food eco, that food eco is going to give you a massive, massive advantage over time. Once you actually have enough fishing ships established on all of the ponds to compensate for the free TC boom, you are going to have an insane food eco, and that's exactly what we're seeing over here. Voyagers on stone for BadBoy. A castle here would be pretty nice so that he protects the front of his base. But look at this. There's Voyagers getting killed everywhere, and even the Cav Archers trying to come back home here. The Cav Archers aren't necessarily meant to directly engage crossbows. They're meant more for the mobility and for the raiding aspect, and Sitaux right now has barely any Voyagers working for him. Funnily enough, there's more Voyager idle time overall for BadBoy, but I feel like that is just because he's got so much more Voyagers, or so many more Voyagers, that is a one-shot 2-kill over there. So there's way more Voyagers for BadBoy, so obviously he's gonna potentially have a lot more idle time over them if he's just not looking for half a second. But I think if the 2 players had even Voyager count, we would probably see a lot more idle time for Sitaux. He tries a forward castle, but indeed he sees the crossbows are coming, the Mangonels coming, the crossbows are already at the back of his base and taps out. And BadBoy, 1 game away from what could be a reverse sweep in here, and a thriller, to be honest, because Sitaux was having a firm control over this series, and the more I'm looking at this, the more confidence I'm seeing from BadBoy. As now you see tendency, 2 losses with your 2 top picks for BadBoy. Now your upcoming 2 picks actually yield 2 wins. It's opposite tendency for Sitaux, who won the first or won the games with his first 2 selections, and then Mongols and Khmer were losses. And the final home map of Sitaux will be Bay, and he doesn't really have good civs for Bay, to be honest. Like Celts or Vikings, neither of them are amazing civilizations for that map. I think it's gonna be Malay from BadBoy, and I would say Malay versus Vikings. Although Vikings is tricky because you don't have fire galleys, which is a problem. On the other hand, Celts is not something that I'm a big fan of on that map. But because you want to have fire galleys available, it looks like Sitaux is choosing Celts here, which to me means that there's a clear civ advantage for BadBoy over here. In early to mid game, the mobility of these 2 civilizations is pretty much identical. However, late game mobility of the World Raiders could be something. Neither of these civilizations are really versatile. It's more about being one-dimensional and being very, very good at one thing. But I feel like I am massively preferring the Malay over the Celts over here. Both players will have a gold at the back, but we also have Stone on the front and Berries on the front. I think Stone intentionally spawns on the front. I think I was told. So we're just gonna have the standard hybrid build from Sitaux over here. No surprise about that one. Both players are looking for a villager snipe opportunity on the opponent. And BadBoy is actually... BadBoy is going for the dock over here. Voyager is gonna get walled around. And it looks like Sitaux, by the time he reacts, this dock goes up. Other side, quick walls as well as 2 Voyagers being pulled. So there is absolutely no means of stopping that dock. As I said, that the Voyager from BadBoy dies. That was a disaster. How could he allow that? Especially now he's going for double docks. This is a very, very interesting build. It's a very fast second dock and a very, very fast feudal as well. Holy smokes, it's a lightning fast feudal for a Malay ClickUp. Look at this. He's gonna be beating his opponent by 1 minute here. Imagine if he didn't lose that Voyager. This is a crazy build here from BadBoy. I'm not exactly sure what happened over here that made this build this fast. I would assume that what happened was that he delayed the first dock. So instead of going for an early dock, he went for a little later, but was a little bit more food focused. So instead of going for early dock and a bit more focus on wood, what he did was later dock and a bit more focus on food at the beginning, but then do 2 docks at the beginning of feudal age. And you see that he's going to be beating his opponent into feudal age by a massive margin. And that means that he's going to have actually 2 fire guys out by the time the opponent even reaches feudal. And in retrospective, it was a great decision from Sitaux that from the civilizations that he had left, the Celts is definitely the better one for this situation, because if he was playing Vikings, he would only make galleys, and when you fall behind this much in feudal age timing, galleys is kind of a suicide. So it's only 2 fishing ships for BadBoy, and as I said, the way that he actually achieved this one is that instead of actually going for the 1 dock standard hybrid map build, what we were seeing from him is that he went for a very, very fast feudal. So I think the win is gonna be on the side of BadBoy. The fishing eco is still alive, and that's something that's worth considering. And also, Sitaux is gonna have pretty much similar fire galleys to his opponent will, and he's got the Celtic lumberjacking bonus. Technically, the advantage here is on the side of Sitaux. 3 dogs against 2, the wood income is better. So even though the feudal age timing was actually pretty nice over here for BadBoy, at the end of the day, it seems like Sitaux is going to have the upper hand on water. There is no demo coming in on this dock, only on the left-hand side one. Now, a good demo here could definitely sink half of this fleet. Repair Voyager was on the way, and there's also apparently a sneaky fire guy trying to just finish off the fishing ships, and that was a nice one as well, demoing down 2 fire galleys. Both of those fire guys are still alive, but both of them are very, very weak, as it seems like BadBoy is just trying to snipe down the opponent's fishing eco. No land aggression from either player, in fact, no land buildings or unit production at all. Sitaux actually had a little bit more TCR time than his opponent did, but at this very moment, it seems like Sitaux is securing water control for himself. He did lose the majority of his fishing eco though, and that's definitely something that is worth considering. Controlling water is one thing, being able to do some efficient fishing is something else. And at this very moment, the fishing eco of BadBoy is untouched. So currently, he does have an eco advantage that it's coming from water, despite the fact that his opponent is actually majorly controlling water. And that is now gonna be gone. So you might as well force drop the food that you have on your fishing ships, because you are guaranteed to lose them. I don't think that there's any more possibilities for BadBoy for water fight over here. So that actually raises the question of him potentially going for a land aggression. So that was a very inefficient demo over there from Sitaux, ramming 1 fire galley, and I would think that if you're BadBoy right now, you're thinking about demo sniping the opponent's fishing ships. Sitaux doing the right thing, going for the fishing ships over here, trying to capitalize on the fact that now he has water. He needs to... oh, his left side off. I wonder if he... yeah, he knows that this is open. And he knows he's winning water. This is the moment when you actually start to voy yourself like a madman, because your opponent will actually start pushing you on land very, very fast. It seems like there is still ships in here for BadBoy though, but it's not a lot. I feel like this is more like a diversion. Because this way Sitaux believes that, hey, BadBoy still wants to get back to water, whereas if you have no flags, it's, I think, kind of obvious that BadBoy wants to go to land. So this way he's sort of distracting his opponent a little bit. There will be a market coming up, so I assume that BadBoy will try to buy himself up to castle age here. Similar concept will be there as well for Sitaux. The real question is, what do you do if you are Sitaux with Celts here? Because I feel like at this point, Knights and then Siege, so sort of a Huang-esque push could be on the horizon. The docks are going to go down in quick succession over here, so both of the docks for BadBoy are gone. But if you look at Sitaux's eco, surprisingly, he's only gonna be like 3 or 4 villagers ahead, despite the fact that he already has 6 fishing ships out there. Obviously, it's gonna be something like 2 or 3 villagers in the wheelbarrow. Both players are about to go up, but that means that the better castlage time will be there for BadBoy, who's already making archers. And in this situation, I could actually justify selling your stone if you're BadBoy and then buying it back later if you need TCs. Because you really could capitalize on a better castlage time over your opponent. And as you see, clicks up to castlage is Sitaux, and indeed there's the stable, so the Huang Rush eventually is going to materialize. Obviously, it is just a Huang Rush, and someone actually was complaining on YouTube that I'm pronouncing that name right, so it's something more like Huang? I don't know, man. I give up on that. There is a random spearman pushing through the walls, so that's going to be a little bit annoying. But anyways, I think that the basic concept of a Huang Rush is that you get an early advantage in castlage, mostly with knights. That's the sort of unique thing compared to other builds over here. Because for many years, people were mostly doing Drush FC into crossbowmen. And then Siege Workshop. What Huang did was get knights out, and those knights can actually give you a nice little edge at the beginning of castlage, and it's going to be double stable knights with double forward villagers. The tricky thing here is that there is this forward establishment here from BadBoy, and he's also reaching castlage much faster than his opponent does because they clicked up approximately at the same time, yet melee are actually much better when it comes to these power specs, and there's already a vision on the stables, which means that we're going to see a monastery coming in here. And it seems like we're going to have forward siege workshop here from Sitaux, but he's completely unprepared for this push, which is going to soon start showing. And it could intercept or reinforcements. That's the problem that Sitaux is going to be facing. He could have a siege workshop here, but that siege workshop wasn't really be suitable for dealing with these crossbows. And the knights will also get intercepted while they are marching up over here. The knights will have +1 defense. They will even have +2, so the crossbows won't be really efficient against them in small numbers, but there is going to be monks. And the siege workshop is up. Sitaux is only possessing a 1 villager lead, despite the fact that he has a considerable eco lead on water. But it is melee, so that obviously compensates quite heavily for this one. And now BadBoy sees the flags on the stable, so he retreats. He knows that the knights are coming. He's waiting for his monk, which is about to finish right now. But there is already 2 more knights on the way, so this is going to be tricky for BadBoy to hold monk, trying to get conversion, and you have to focus down the other knight. That's actually nicely done by BadBoy over there. The monk, I think, will still die. Indeed it will, but ends up trading 1 monk to 2 knights, so I think that is actually a relatively satisfactory result. And now we're going to see a second monastery coming in here from BadBoy, so he knows that his early crossbows won't really be amazing as those knights, especially because those crossbows do not have Bodkin arrow, and they're up against +2 defense knights. In fact, those knights will just absolutely shatter all resistance over here, or will they? Technically they should, but the monks could really be troublesome over here. There is a siege workshop and there is scorpions, mangonels, but they have to come back home. And monks will be added as well by Sitaux to convert back the knights that he has lost to a conversion. Both players will be playing on 1 TC for the time being. But as I said, obviously Sitaux has the water advantage. But at some point he's going to have to start expanding. I think one of the things that Sitaux doesn't really have the option for right now is expansion. As he's selling his stone, he realized that, okay, this is going to be a 1 TC play for quite a while. Mangonel goes down, and there was no conversion on the knight. So the thing is that I think BadBoy could much more easily move out here than Sitaux can. I think this forest, Sitaux could technically try sneaking out here, but it's a lot riskier than for BadBoy to sneak out here. And now the crossbows will actually be very, very close to running in there. Let's see if the knight is going to try and pick off that scorpion. Light cav on the way for Sitaux to try and pick off the monks of the opponent. Here, now +2 defense is, or +2 attack is in by BadBoy for the crossbows, and he's going for Sanctity. So this is going to be a monk and siege. Oh, more like monk and crossbow push right now. There's little siege to back this one up, surprisingly. There's 2 forward warriors, so they can always make a forward siege workshop. But as things stand, especially with the light cav, or yeah, now a light cav, arriving for Sitaux, the monks could definitely be picked off. Nice fight over there for our French player, although it seems like it wasn't enough. Mangonel shot was huge though, and that means that most of those crossbows have been leveled. The problem that Sitaux is now facing is that he lost 3 knights to conversion, and there's still crossbow fire to clean up his own knights, and as big of those losses were, Sitaux lost more. And you also have to consider that these Voyagers could actually go down, and that Mangonel could also go down. So that actually looked like an enormous Mangonel shot, but at the end of the day, it didn't accomplish enough. Because behind that one, 3 knights were converted, and that's the thing. Now, 1 knight gets converted back, but that's a very low HP knight. Nice move over there to bring in the fire galleys to help out against the knight. And that is a very, very nice unit control over there from Sitaux. Keeps his hopes in this series alive. This is a very, very open game. And oftentimes I've been saying that I feel like this map is a little too passive mid-game. That's definitely not the case over here. Although we have a huge Mangonel shot. Absolutely leveling those crossbows. I think one of the reasons why BadBoy is not clearly ahead is because those 2 Mangonel shots were really setting him back in terms of crossbowman numbers. Still, Mangonel pops out here and picks off the Mangonel from the opponent. That's a nice 1-for-0. Light Cav coming in here, and there's not really a lot of crossbows here to deal with them, so this is the time for Light Cav to kill the monks. They pick off 1, they pick off 2, I believe. I think they finished off all of them, right? Yeah, there is no more monks left on the field for BadBoy, who now possesses a 6 Warriors lead. And Sitaux is running out of fish over here, goes for the fish traps. Look at that beautiful fish trap placement now. That's an interesting fish trap placement because you could actually place them closer to your docks. So this is basically the equivalent of the T90 farms. These are Sitaux fish traps. They could be a little closer. Obviously, he didn't really have a lot of time to mess around with those because he has other things to attend to, like, for example, microing this. Now, looking at the eco upgrades, there is no horse color for BadBoy, so that's -3 Voyagers technically. So he only has about the 6 Voyagers lead, but he does have Boso, whereas his opponent does not. And there was also a considerable amount of farming from Sitaux without horse color, which is far from ideal. I feel like the biggest problem that Sitaux is facing as he's launching counterattack with the Light Cav and the Knights is that he's going to struggle moving out for new wood lines. So he's obviously running out of wood over here. He's running out of wood over here. And while it is much easier for BadBoy to expand towards this direction, I think Sitaux is heavily cornered in here. That's 4 Mangonels though, so they could really level this base. And now it's a 2-pronged assault from Sitaux. You have to keep in mind that BadBoy is having all his production here on the front, but he's running in. BadBoy is running in. Sitaux is playing a dangerous game because he's pushing the eco of the opponent. But in the meanwhile, BadBoy will try running in. Now, Sitaux should have everything he needs to defend against this one, whereas he should also be able to start pushing this one, and there is very, very little that BadBoy can do to stop this one right now. There is no siege workshop, there is no monk, there is no nothing that actually stopped this Mangonel push, and there is also knight supporting. This is very, very scary right now for BadBoy, because he has no tools of stopping this aggression, yet his aggression here is sort of stalling out, but he's got Redemption Monks. The Redemption Monk does get a conversion on the Mangonel, and the Mangonel could actually take out another one, and it does, it actually takes down 2, and I think that the condition for Sitaux holding his base was that he isn't actually losing those Mangonels, because those Mangonels were the key to killing the crossbows. And now, even though this TC slow going down, another Redemption Monk conversion, it seems like Sitaux got caught off guard by this, and now the Mangonel is going to fire once more, trades it off 1-for-1. Oh my god, the Redemption Monks are coming in clutch over here for BadBoy. As now, he, I think, might be able to slow this push down long enough so that he's actually able to survive this. Monk actually gets killed in the process, but there's another Monk as well. We'll try to get a conversion on the Mangonel. And it's going to actually try and take a shot on the monks. Sitaux reacts and runs away, but the Mangonels are down, and if you look at this, the stables are getting converted! The stables are getting converted, and it seems like Sitaux is struggling a little bit to look at both fights, because He lost the Mangonel to conversion, reacted to it, but while he wasn't looking, he lost his stables to conversion, and he's unable to make units. Wanna play from BadBoy. The Redemption Monks are really coming in here for him, and if that Monk actually gets a conversion on that Mangonel, that would be an absolute disaster. That's a big shot, however, coming in from Sitaux, levels all those crossbows, and there is still a couple of knights behind, but Monks focusing on the light cav, most of those monks might actually get picked off, so it seems like Sitaux is still able to hold this one. Now Battering Ram comes in here, as is the Monk. The Monk is actually going to try converting the Battering Ram, I believe. At least the laser showed that to us. Indeed, Monks converting Battering Rams, something that you rarely see, as now the stables are up here. And what is Sitaux up to? He wants a TC over here. You see that he's running out of wood pretty soon, and we also have to consider that Sitaux was 1 TC the whole time, whereas BadBoy was doing on 2 TCs, and he actually had a pretty nice food eco for this one. Had managed to keep those TCs consistently working, which means that now it's 85 compared to 65 in terms of villager count, and you also have to consider that BadBoy is working towards a defensive castle, which would potentially stall out any push that could happen. Here, TC Fire actually doing a pretty decent job cleaning this one up. That is gonna be 2 light caps converted for a price of 1 monk. Wasn't ideal, but what it gives you is a chance to, you know, prevent those light cap from killing your villagers that are killing the rams, and those rams are going down, and simultaneously the crossbows will intercept the villagers here, and those villagers are just caught off guard so badly. Sitaux only lost 8 villagers in this game, but his eco is getting pushed a lot harder now. That's a lot of monks as well. Knight gets converted back. But at this point, I feel like BadBoy just wants to make sure he's able to access that stone safely until he can get a castle up here, because he wants a castle here. And we also have elephants coming in here from our Malay player. That is going to be a deleted elephant, or it should be a deleted elephant. Nope, it's going to be a famous Celtic elephant, as the crossbows are coming back to clean up the monks, and they might actually be able to. The monks have nowhere to go. The monks actually have nowhere to go. Even the Battering Ram is joining the fun, trying to kill those crossbows with its ramming ability. But most of the monks are dead over here. And as I said, it is only a matter of 1 defensive castle for BadBoy here, and he's going to be fine. In fact, his eco balance is absolutely all over the place. He's got floating 1500 wood. I think that the wood price is crazy, by the way. Sitaux is buying for 133, so if you actually start selling this as BadBoy, I think he might even be able to squeeze out Imperial here. But what he needs right now is a defense against this one, and that is going to come through a defensive castle that is soon going to be placed. He might even buy a bit of a stone for himself so that he's able to afford it before the next wave arrives. Sitaux is expanding quite heavily, but there's a 30 villagers lead. Sitaux is sitting on food that would be enough for Imperial Age, but here's the problem. The tech switch, as we have, even this monastery or siege workshop is actually getting converted over here. Everything gets converted. The Mangonel gets deleted to avoid conversion. The siege workshop gets converted. The fire galley gets converted, and it's probably gonna head towards the fishing eco. It's a 1 HP fire galley, so it doesn't matter. But if Sitaux isn't reacting to this, he could lose a couple of fishing ships in this one. And really, if there is one word to describe why BadBoy is leading in this game, and that is redemption. And it seems like he's finding redemption after his early losses here, and this will be a reverse sweep if he wins it, and it seems like he's in a winning position. So it seems like both players will click into Imperial at the same time, but that means that the Malay player will get up much faster. And you also have to consider that the Celts have a very hard tech switch to do in early Imperial, and it seems like we're going to see... What? Sitaux is stacking into crossbowman right now. He's not going in. He had the resource to go into Imperial. I think he doesn't know that his opponent is up. But this is gonna be an MGG then. If he clicked up himself, I wanted to say that, as I said, the tech switch is pretty hard. You could make a case for like a Onager or Halberdier, like Halberdier Onager or Halberdier Ram type of a push from the Celtic player, but really the ideal situation is Void Raider for Sitaux, but that takes a lot of time. Celts have a pretty difficult tech switch to do from this Archer, Mangonel, Knight type of a push in early Imperial. That's the tricky part in the Celts. Now it's crossbows for Sitaux, but I feel like that's just game over for him in this case, because he's Castle-ish crossbows will do absolutely nothing against a player that's in Imperial in 10 seconds. Trebs will be coming out, Arblasts will be coming out. That's probably gonna be a fast chemistry as well for BadBoy, even though he's low on gold. But he can probably just sell a bit of a food, get chemistry, get Bracer, get Arblast, and by the time Sitaux is gonna have time to react, he is like, he's not in a position to go into Imperial. In fact, he ran out of gold. One word, redemption. That's all that BadBoy needed. And you see the bar over here at the top. 2 wins from Sitaux. And remember the Gold Rush game. I said that if he's able to weather the storm of the Berbers, he's going to outboom his opponent and win that. It's hard to say where this slipped for Sitaux, because the pure reason why he lost is because he just got outplayed in all 3 of the final games. So there wasn't really any of the games where in the final 3 where it seemed like he's actually going to be dominating that and then he lost it. It was always like, first 2 games, Sitaux was pretty confident and I'm not going to say dominated, but he was having a very, very confident lead over BadBoy. But then that flipped, and from the 3rd game on, it was just BadBoy being better in every game. And even though Sitaux had moments, I don't think that there was any of those games where Sitaux was actually having a firm and like indisputable lead. And with that, BadBoy, I'm not sure if this is an upset or not, because I think the 2 players are very, very evenly skilled. I would think that Sitaux is a bit more skilled in 1v1. I don't know if it's tournament nerves or what happened to Sitaux. I think there is some of that as well, because I don't think that this was 100% Sitaux. I think this is more like an 80% Sitaux that we have seen today, especially in the final 3 games. Might have been tournament nerves, might have been exhaustion, we don't know that. But BadBoy played really well here, and he's actually 1 series away from getting into the main event, and needless to say, BadBoy would be a very, very surprise candidate getting into the main event. So would Sitaux be, by the way. I think neither of these players actually played in a single Hidden Cup, but BadBoy is just 1 series away from doing that. Congrats to Sitaux though, because he played really well. I'm not sure what happened with him in the last 3 games. I feel like he actually had a little bit weaker performance than the first 2 games, but obviously there is a lot of nerves, there could be exhaustion, something else going on. We don't know that. I think Sitaux played well. It's small things going differently. Maybe the Civilization matchup wasn't really suitable for him. And BadBoy's aggression in the Gold Rush game. Then the crossbow control for BadBoy in the cross game was actually very, very nice, and he played resource denial game very nicely. And on this game, it's pure, simple redemption. If there wasn't redemption, I think Sitaux wins this game. But the fact that you could convert multiple mangonels, and that was the key. You destroyed this entire defense here with just redemption. You converted multiple mangonels, killed the other mangonels with them, you converted stables, and you converted the seizure trap here as well. The redemption really did so much for BadBoy, and at the end of the day, he is pulling off a reverse sweep over Sitaux, winning 3-2 and getting into the final round of the Hidden Cup 4 qualifiers.